Hey guys, this is Haley with Six String Country. In this Soundscapes course, we are going to be basically creating these mini songs. It's like a little song idea that has a really specific feel, and you can use them in a whole lot of different circumstances. So one thing that you can do with these is you can kind of use it as a backing track when you're practicing, basically creating these parts that go together, and then you can then solo over them. You can make them into videos. These are pretty popular on Instagram and YouTube, these kind of looping videos that are, have these different parts kind of going together. Or you can just use it as you are, playing in a band as just sort of how to think about this as a guitar player adding your parts. So basically the minimum requirements for this is going to be a loop pedal that you could use. You could easily, create these parts. You might not be able to do like a bass and a drum part, but a loop pedal is fine for the basics. If you want to sort of upgrade from there and kind of how I'm doing them, you will need a, interface and a DAW or something to, record your parts on, and you can just kind of plug into Logic or whatever you're using and record these parts. So in this soundscape, basically what we're going to be doing is partnering some fast acoustic notes, so these kind of 16th notes, and we are going to be pairing them with these kind of slow, more reverby, delay-y sort of parts of the electric. So the bass is going to be kind of coming in at the end, and then the kick drum is just those quarter notes that come in. So you can see that we've sort of collected all these different timings together and a lot of different tones from the acoustic, that's not going to be ringing out as much paired with that electric that is. So let's jump into this first one. All right, so for this first guitar part, we are going to use the acoustic with a little bit of an alternate tuning. So I have tuned my B string here to an A, and then I've tuned my E string here to a D. So it's kind of an open D type tuning. So for this guitar part, we're going to use some hybrid picking, and this is going to start off with our 16th note. So this is going to be the most complicated rhythmically guitar part that we're going to be doing in this specific soundscape. So here's how it goes. So the first part, we're going to do a open D string and then hammer on to the 5th fret of the D string. And then we have our, what would be the B string, B, and then E for that first part. So that's kind of the pattern. And then we're going to go right into the next part, which is open G, hammer on to the 5th fret of the G string, and then back to that, what was the B string, and then the E string. And then the next part, we have an open D, and then hammer on to that 3rd fret of the D string, and then now we're going the G string, and then what was the B string, and then going back to the 5th fret, open D, 5th fret, but this time we're doing the G and then B here. So let's do that really slow all together. And we're just going to keep repeating that. So it's going to go pretty fast, like a... So that is the first part in the soundscape. So for this next guitar part, basically what I was doing is with those 16th notes of the acoustic that are kind of faster, I am now pairing that with these sort of slower notes that sort of have a lot of this reverb and delay and sort of just take up room, but they're not that kind of fast note that's going to compete with the parts of the acoustic. So for this, I put on fairly a lot of reverb and then some delay and then a little bit of chorus here. And what I'm gonna do is just this part that I'm essentially doing like the 1, 5, and then a 10th. So that is like the third an octave up. So for this first part, I'm starting with like a D minor, and I'm doing 5, 5th note on the A string, and then I'm doing the 7th fret on the D string, and then the 6th fret on the B string. So I'm just playing those, and I'm using hybrid picking. So I'm doing pick, and then finger, and then finger. You could do that with this finger too if you wanted. All right, so the next one I'm going down and I'm shadowing this C shape. So I'm going 3 on A, 5 on D, 5 on B, and then I'm scooting all the way up here to my F. So I'm doing 8th fret, 10th fret on the B, or sorry, the D, and then on the B, 10th fret, and then all the way down here. So now I'm going to my B flat here. So that is going to be the 1st fret, and then 3rd fret, and 3rd fret. So altogether, that's going to go like this. So that is the whole part, and you can kind of see, or I guess hear, how that can pair well with that first acoustic part. So in this last electric part, sort of my thinking with this is adding a bit of a melody and then also adding this kind of higher up on the neck part. You might have heard that like with the acoustic part, a little lower, we have the bass and drums that are lower. Then we have that second part that comes in sort of that mid-rangey sort of sound that's more kind of chord-like. So now with this, I'm using these higher notes, basically just from the D minor pentatonic scale, and I'm just gonna add those in as a sort of little embellishment on top. So as far as timing-wise, I'm thinking somewhere in the middle of the two parts, just to sort of use my ear and fill in any gaps that were in there. So let's go ahead and learn this part. So basically I'm barring on the 10th fret on the B and E strings, and I'm going B, E, B, and now I'm going 13th fret of the B string, and then 12th of the G, and this is kind of like a call and response type lick, so now this would be like the response part. So now I'm going on the 10th fret of the G and B, so I'm going G, B, G, and then the 11th fret of the B string. So for this, I put on some overdrive here to make that part stand out amongst the more sort of reverby sounding things, kind of give it that little kind of kick in there. And then I do have some delay on this also just to fill up a little extra space and make this whole thing sound a little bit fuller.